Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Oceanic Pro League. I am, of course, Max Alexanderson, joined this time by the beautiful Julian Pastry Time Car, and we're about to hop into our third match, but first, let's just recap on that last game. Rich Gang going huge. They were challenged a lot more than we've seen in the past, but Chenny Boy, gigantic on that Ari, and definitely deserved the MVP for that game.
Yeah, and Chenny's always been such a solid player, really strong on the many teams that he seems to have played on in the scene.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm never surprised to see him play well, and he had a fantastic game there for Rich Gang.
Yeah, he really did. First pentakill here of the OPL as well, but let's focus on our next matchup here, of course. The rematch of the ages here as Direwolves come up against Team Immunity, and this is a little bit of a sad story for Immunity, you have to say.
Yeah, this was a pretty epic, I guess, matchup that they had. They actually played twice. It was a double alien format in the last big regional. Immunity won the first series 2-0, very confident, were one of the favorites moving in. Lost to Chiefs there in the upper bracket match, dropped down to play them again, and Direwolves somehow just pulled it all out and 2-0'd them, which was insane at the time, and a massive upset. So credit to Direwolves, they've gotten only stronger as a side since then. There have been some changes, of course, for Direwolves, and actually a change for Immunity now as well, which is very rare.
And I'm excited about this change for Immunity as well. One of my personal favorite teams of old being your Soul Shell Chuffer. Their mid laner, Little Cutie Cheese, or just Cheese here now. And he's going to be replacing Claire in the mid lane, who's actually retired from competitive play. A little bit unfortunate.
That's sad. I mean, Claire is a fantastic player, known for being just basically able to play any single champion. He could random a champion, put it in the mid lane, and it was probably going to be fine. But Cheese is a very stable player. He's got some of his comfort picks, but plays a lot of the safer long-range champions. He loves his Xerath. He's a well-known Swain player as well, and Orianna as well, another big one for him. But Cheese might bring some consistency to the mid lane here. Claire was a fantastic player, but maybe a bit hot and cold, so curious to see how they play with their new mid laner.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this one. Of course, Cheese is known for being quite vocal here as well. He does tend to get excited, and that is sort of reminiscent of another player on the Immunity lineup, being T-Gun, who is probably one of the most emotional players in the Oceanic scene.
Yeah, it's kind of a volatile team that maybe Immunity put together
JK
here.
Smithy as well.
Yeah, I mean, they love their game. They love to play well, and they're very passionate players. Cheese is very emotional as well. Interestingly, outside of the game, once he's won or lost, he's very calm and really objective. But in-game, he's super heated. He loves to get involved, and if he's having a good lane, he carries that momentum, and that's true of all of Immunity.
Yeah, and this is when he's on his comfort picks like that Xerath like you're talking about, but his Swain is a joy to watch. So aggressive on that champion. You think of Swain as sort of sitting back, being a bird, getting amongst the minions a little bit, farming it out, but Cheese is going super aggressive level 1 and attacking people's faces. This guy's ridiculous.
Yeah, and he might even draw a Swain ban here as well. It's been a long time since it's happened, but
yeah, we haven't seen him for a while.
He has been known to draw bans in the past. You mentioned he played on your Soul Chuffer all that time ago. Chuffer, interestingly, on the other team this time around.
Exciting.
So there's a bit of that going on for some history as well. But Cheese is just a very strong player, and this for me, it's a big chance for him to prove himself.
It really, really is. Now up against his former manager, as you mentioned, your Soul Shell Chuffer did have something to do with Chuffer. It wasn't just a weird name, but we're going to hop into Champ Select here, and we'll see whether anything exciting comes through. And are you surprised to see an Ari ban? I'm certainly not.
No, not at all. I'm actually surprised that Chenny Boy got it in the last game there as well. So Ari, a pretty standard ban here. There's the respect ban that we wanted, though.
Very mid lane focused here as well, as Hecarim taken off the board could actually be a mid lane ban as well, but most likely for that top lane or elsewhere. Perfections has a lot of answers in his sort of playbook. Perfection's known to play all sorts of different champions, was formerly a mid lane player, but has moved over to that top lane very, very happily. His play on Aurelia was outstanding, picking up an MVP for himself as well, as Rek'Sai going to get banned away, and Immunity about to answer their final ban. And looking at this ban list, there is so much open.
Yeah, I mean, you said it already. There's just no mid laners left in the pool. Azir was banned as well by Immunity, and if another mid laner hits here as well, there are so many options for both these teams. Janna will be open. Lissandra looks like she'll be open, as Kassadin's going to be the last ban there.
Yeah, and Jarvan is available, and Gnar is available, and anything else you might want to pick up. Perfection's going to lock away that Jarvan for an understandable pickup here. Very flexible, able to go either top or into that jungle, but fits so many different team comps as well, it doesn't give anything away.
Yeah, and Soulstrike is a big Jarvan player as well. He's played that quite a bit, actually, both in solo queue and in previous competitive games as well. So he'll be looking to probably take that for himself. Jarvan's a great jungle here, but this is always the issue with targeted drafting on the blue side. You often give two very strong picks away to the red side.
Yeah, and they were looking at the Jano. Would question that one. Of course, T-Gun very good on these engage-heavy supports. Loves his Blitzcrank, of course. Able to play that Thresh to great effect as well. JK Smithy looking at a Gnar pickup, and I think that's very intelligent. Get rid of that potential Narvan combo, which can be so devastating.
Yeah, definitely take that off the board. Nar's such a strong champion. JK Smithy as well is more of a tank player in the top lane. Plays a lot of Rumble, but he really sits on the, the Maokais, the Malphites, and the Nars as well of the world in top lane. So look for him to just play very safe and get his farm going.
Yeah, I'm just a little bit upset that we're not going to see the JK Smithy Vladimir pickup in the top lane. That was always my personal favorite.
He does love to play some really sustained heavy laners.
Yeah,
he wants
and recently as well.
Yeah, he wants to stay safe. He's a big Aurelia player as well. Much more of a team fighting top laner. Doesn't really like to, go deep and try and hard freeze and flame the enemy opponent. Not literally, like the player flame.
Yeah, I like it. Whereas Perfections, he's more than happy to just go super deep at all stages. Almost plays solo League of Legends and worked out in their first game. We'll see if they do it again, as Lissandra now going to be looked at. We spoke about the fact that there are a lot of really high priority picks escaping this ban phase. Lissandra definitely one of those options. Could be for Sharp, could be for Perfections. And Sharp, he's got so many champions in his wheelhouse, and Xerath is the one he went with last time, and that could even work here.
I mean, it would be fine. Lissandra is pretty much good in any double AP comp. She gives so much to almost any composition where you're going to be doing a lot of control and magic damage, but they're going to change it up a little bit.
Yeah, going for a Sivir lock in here as well, which you have to think could be dangerous here, as we've been seeing these Sivir counters popping up. Of course, she's fantastic for these team fights for a utility, but in lane, she can be punished by the likes of, Jinx, potentially even a Caitlyn, or Vayne actually doesn't do too badly against Sivir either.
Vayne's a little more awkward just because she has less tools to deal with you in lane. Basically, if you get a lane swap, it's great. Whenever Vayne gets a blade, Sivir can basically never duel you. But this is the nice thing, is that it's a blocker pick for the Corki as well. Corki really struggles against Sivir in lane because he just doesn't have any tools to clear out all the wave pushing that she's going to be doing. So I like the pick here, but it's quite aggressive. And for me personally, when you have Jarvan and Lissandra, you don't really need more engage. You kind of have it all already.
Yeah, there is definitely so much engage. Uberbro looking at an Ezreal pick here. I'd like to see Uberbro picking up that Draven again. Something exciting. Cheese does notice the fact that there's another champion that's snuck through this draft in the LeBlanc. Uberbro actually going to lock in the Ezreal here, so that is going to be their response to the Sivir. I find that kind of interesting, not really wanting to capitalize necessarily on that pickup, but still has a lot of positive things to come through and is going to be able to easily escape a lot of, the cataclysms to come through.
Yeah, it's a bit weird to not to last pick a jungler, which it seems like Immunity's going to do here in this draft. Ezreal, again, we talk about Sivir matchups. Sivir's so good at hard pushing that, and Ezreal doesn't really have wave clear without his ulti. And even when he has his ultimate, he doesn't have it up all that often, even though Mystic Shot helps you with a bit of kind of implied cooldown reduction. So this is another weird matchup where he's kind of picking himself into a counter, but if he's comfortable in Ezreal play, especially against all this hard engage, it's a totally fine pick.
Yeah, and we'll see what they do to round out their comp as far as putting Zahi on in the jungle. Of course, his Lee Sin has been untouched here. He can go for that one. King still hovering. Their manager Rippy's fabled Udyr pick, but he is going to switch back to that Xerath, and Sharp going to hop over to that one yet again. And his Ride of the Arcane Bolts were so beautiful in that first game.
Yeah, and they really were. And this is actually what I don't mind the Sivir pick for here. And he's a really good champion to pair with Sivir. You don't really have that much kill potential. You can get aggressive if you want, but just being able to zone people out and do some very creative things. I see you smiling with the hover there from Immunity. That actually wasn't banned. That's a good point to mention. In at least the first series, it was banned out. So Italy could be making an appearance here, possibly in the jungle for Team Immunity. But Xerath really favors mobility as well. When he uses ulti, of course, he can't move, but he's short-ish range when he doesn't have his ulti on, and he has to charge up his Q for all. So actually, to get to ride in with Sivir and reposition to make sure you're always standing in the right spot, and with the Annie combo as well, Sivir's actually not too bad with the rest of Direwolf's team combo.
Almost, definitely. And getting Annie in amongst it as well. She'll have those mobility boots, and once On the Hunt comes through, this is going to be the fastest little girl you have ever seen in your life, throwing bears left, right, and center. Not to mention the fact that, Soul Strikes, if he comes through with that Jarvan, that EQ combo into Flash Cataclysm can cover like almost the whole map.
Yeah, and that's sort of the other thing about Jarvan is he doesn't need help getting in, but the rest of the team kind of needs help catching up to him.
Oh, yeah.
And that's kind of what you want to do there. I mean, Lissandra, again, very hard engaged, good at going backwards or forwards, but not both. And Sivir, again, make sure everyone on your team is always in the right spot when you use the ulti, and also lets you save some cooldowns as well.
Yeah, but Zahi not going to go with that Nidalee pickup. They were hovering it for a little bit. Is going to lock away that Vi. So going to have a lot of engage potential. And man, if you lock someone down with that Assault and Battery, that's just free Mimic Distortions right on top of their face for almost a guaranteed kill.
Yeah, I mean, Vi's seeing a lot more play, not just here in the OPL, but in League of Legends in general. That's another weird pick to me. You don't really lock down Sivir that well with Vi because of how Spell Shield works.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of latent stuns in CC. Like, Vi's really bad against Lissandra because she's got so much space control in melee range practically that you can't really afford to do all that much. And Xerath's a great target. But if your goal is to Vi ult a Xerath, I don't quite know if your team comp's going to work out the way you want to, unless they get a pick, and that's what Vi is really good for.
Yeah, but yeah, as you mentioned, with On the Hunt, the availability of, just damage onto Vi as she's skirting at you could be very dangerous, but Immunity, they've probably got a plan here, and we'll see whether they can actually execute it, because it looks like a sort of hard engage pick type comp with just leaving Uberbro on his own just to fend for himself, which he's going to be able to do as this Ezreal, but it's going to be difficult to do. But if Gnar gets big, I mean, Gnar just can wreck a team fight by himself.
Yeah, that's sort of the best way to put it. Gnar is this one-man team fight machine. He's so good at CCing people and team fighting and being the only frontline tank your team ever needs. It's a bit of a eclectic mix here for Immunity. They've got some good pick potential between LeBlanc and Vi, and then Gnar's really good at team fighting, and that's sort of Ezreal Janna's job as well, but there's a lot of good balance to this composition. It's just a matter of how they want to play things out. And Vi's other thing that she's good at is dealing damage to neutral objectives, so if the plan is to snowball, say, Dragon, it's actually a really good comp for Immunity.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. That looks like they're trying to do a whole lot of things at once. Is it better to have sort of like all of these different tools in your wheelhouse, or should you actually aim for, like, we want to go for this specific strategy?
I mean, I think it depends on playstyle as well.
Yeah.
LeBlanc is like not a one-dimensional champion. She has a very versatile, very unique kit, but she's obviously geared more towards assassinating people. But that doesn't mean you have to play LeBlanc that way. I mean, back in the day, you would have only maxed your Q and tried to kill people 1v1, and now we see much more emphasis on mimicking and distortion, and that ultimate cooldown's so low now that you get a lot more options as LeBlanc. So there's definitely a lot you can do here. Immunity is not a one-dimensional comp by any means, but if they were just going for hard teamfight or hard pick, they've instead picked a mix of both.
Yeah, and they've got decent disengage coming through with T-Gun as well, so you could imagine that when the Direwolves are coming straight for their face with Soul Strikes here on this Jarvan wanting to get in amongst it, you can imagine that that Monsoon could be used to great effect in order to get everyone the heck out. But if T-Gun gets focused down first, that ultimate isn't available there, then you could imagine Direwolves, they can just run over them with the On the Hunt, with the fact that Sharp has so much execution potential, with that Rite of the Arcane, things could get very dicey very quickly.
They can, and this is sort of Janna's problem with Lissandra. This is why we commonly see Lissandra being picked up, why she's such a valuable pick. Janna's really good at monsooning and just keeping everyone safe and directing the team fight for yourself. Lissandra's simply just easy and says, no, you don't get to do whatever you want. You can't really monsoon someone out of the Frozen Tomb once Lissandra's on top of your team, and there's so much good re-engage between Jarvan and the Sivir ulti and the Annie ulti there as well, that if Direwolves want to initiate on Immunity, they're going to be able to. The other cool thing, I guess, is that the jungle pressure is very different here. Vi very much a level 6 jungler with maybe a one-time gank before 6 to get somewhere ahead, but Jarvan's really strong at early pressure if that's what he wants to be doing.
Yeah, that EQ combo, even after level 2 here as well, and T-Gun could potentially be gankable in that early stage if he wants to go for that cheesy play from the red buff down to that bottom side of the map, but we'll see what they do decide to go for, because yeah, it is looking very, very scary, just as far as these lineups are concerned for Team Immunity, because I think that Direwolves have had almost their free reign over that pick ban phase, because their pick comp and their sort of extended teamfight comp is so scary.
It is, and Papa Smithy mentioned this already in an earlier game, but one of the issues when you're trying to be aggressive with a pick comp is that you actually need forward wards to do so. You can't really pick someone off in the enemy jungle if you don't have vision of it, and one of the best ways to get vision in the early stages of the game especially is to push down waves constantly and give room for your jungler to move in, because counter jungling and to an extension aggressive warding is a team game. You can't do it on your own as a jungler, and suddenly you're Nunu blood boiling around everywhere. But that's, we don't have that champion in this game. And if that's the case, Dials have fantastic wave control here. So I don't know if, unless Immunity able to get a stranglehold over like a dragon, say, or get aggressive with some of the Viol picks, they're going to have a lot of trouble in the laning phase getting aggressive wards in.
Yeah, is the answer for Immunity then to potentially lane swap here? Are they looking to know exactly where Direwolves are going and sort of lane swap accordingly for a 2v1 situation?
I would actually love a lane swap for Immunity. I think that's a really good point. Ezreal, again, he's just going to suffer in this lane against Sivir, especially before 6, so at least give him some experience. Maybe even look for a 1v0 and move Janna around. Immunity have options. What they don't want to do is be stuck in standard lanes and just get wave cleared on all day.
Yeah, but with that, we are going to hop into the game, ladies and gentlemen, with Direwolves taking on Team Immunity. And we'll see whether Team Immunity can get the lane swap situation that they're looking for. You can see the duo members are heading to this bottom side, but there could be some aggressive warding to come through from Direwolves as Chuffer's just heading up this charge straight into Zahi.
Yeah, Chuffer's going in, doesn't have a stun yet, although I think he has an ability leveled already on that, and he does indeed, does the Q. So just some aggressive wards here from Dials, maybe looking to scout out the lane swap that Immunity could be looking for. But in general, if you can move 5 round through a jungle and get vision, you're more than happy to just get any information you can early on.
Most definitely. T-Gun going to answer that one, though, by adding his own wards here. Uberbro going to try and scout out a potential lane swap himself. And King is all the way down this bottom side, just hanging out.
Yeah, it seems like after all that warning from Direwolves here, Immunity have looked to counter ward, and they've actually gotten their own deep wards down towards the other side of the jungle. So doing well there to try and spot out the lane swap if that's what they want to do. That the wards that they've placed in the bottom half of the jungle makes it seem like that's what they want to do. So I imagine they're looking for the lane swap here. But as it turns out, they are just going to get the standard lanes here. And if Immunity was scouting report unfortunately did not give them enough information.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate because all of the Direwolves members had already got to position, unable to find Perfections here as well, who's now on this Lissandra, has so many champions in his wheelhouse, has been playing this game for so incredibly long. We'll see how he does in this sort of battle of the OPs there on the top side, you could say.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit. These are very popular champions. The matchup is very even. I feel like Lissandra has a bit of an edge in certain stages just because Minina doesn't really bully Lissandra that well because they're both quite short range. And Meganar's a beast, but you can ult yourself as Lissandra. And if you pull your jungle up, especially in towards the top lane, Lissandra has so much setup CC. It just makes any gank basically the easiest gank ever.
Yeah, precisely. Azahi. He's going to start on his blue buff, going to pick that one up for himself. Of course, Uberbro and T-Gun give me a hand with the rest of those. You can see this lane already going in favor of King here as he's relentlessly shoving this one through Zahi. And then start on his wolves. I find that interesting. I normally see junglers go, buff to buff from that stage after smiting away the Grump, but he's going to try and do a full clear here as Cheese just going to distort out of the way of that Arcano Pulse. I like it.
Looks like we might even have some early movement coming through for Jarvan as well. He's actually looking at the Scuttle Crab, I think, right now, which means he's really prizing that neutral objective. That's a really interesting path. It's going to take a long way to get back to his other side of the jungle, but I guess if he goes from Raptors to here as well, it's actually not too bad, but that sends a message somewhere there. If you're so willing to go in on the Scuttle Crab that early, that's a very specific jungle path. He didn't just do that by accident.
No, he didn't. He's actually going to start on these Raptors here as well at level 2. Can be very, very dangerous. We've seen them take lives here as can see a little bit of an engagement here on the mid lane. Cheese getting taken down incredibly low as Sharp is just auto-attacking him to death. Arcano Pulse, oh, the flash from Cheese was beautiful there, but still Sharp with some fantastic pressure. Yeah,
really good flash from Chase there to get up, but he kind of knew that he was forced into doing that at some point. He will check his potions, but he'll really be hitting himself for getting that low. This is a very tenuous matchup. Xerath has to respect LeBlanc's burst, but LeBlanc has to respect Xerath's range. So if you basically keep Xerath in closer to you where you're in distortion range, you can actually bully in the early levels especially, but if you don't and Xerath gets all the room around his lane to actually bully you, you get bullied very quickly.
Oh yeah, Arcano Pulse going to do a little bit more damage to Cheese here. He's doing well keeping up in farm, but he gets slowed down there. The last auto attack not going to be enough. And Cheese, you are flirting with death, my friend.
And interesting that Sharp didn't actually commit there for that kill. I think Cheese was probably one auto away from getting that kill there. So, and Sharp being low on mana, probably couldn't have got another spell in at least then. But I'm surprised he didn't instantly flash auto and try and get first blood. But playing Reserve Tier will just take the advantage. Cheese is already forced back to lane.
Yeah, could actually have been baiting here for Zahi as well. You could imagine that Vault Breaker early on could really lock down this Xerath, who's very gankable. You have to think only with that skill shot stun available to him. King, beautiful spell shield. Just saying, nice try to Uberbro.
Yeah, and a really early dragon done there by Dials as well. We kind of glossed over it almost. With
barely even noticed
how casual the game's been going. But Dials just took the first dragon, by the way. They do have it now. Chuffer actually going in.
Oh, Boomerang Blade going to land on top of Uberbro here as well. Uses that Arcane Shift to get out of the secondary damage. But Chuffer's taking so much from these Team Immunity members. And King is very high on health, just saying, anybody, what are you doing? What are you doing getting yourself killed?
Yeah, really strong trading there actually by T-Gun. Zahi does go in and Sharp forced to flash.
Yeah, forced flash out of the way. Nice chains to land here from Cheese as he does have an extra Doran's Ring on top of Sharp at this stage, who's now running out of mana. That lane turning around a little bit in the favor of Cheese as Sharp hasn't got that sort of health advantage that he'd managed to build up for himself with that extra poke.
Yeah, and Cheese will suffer a little bit here in this lane. I like the double Dorans. Clearly feels like he wants to get in and be aggressive when we talk about Cheese as an aggressive player. But after that first Dragon, Sharp's going to be even stronger here. And the bottom lane from Divers has been doing work today so far. King is already 10 CS and counting ahead. And the fact that Civ is so good at clearing out waves efficiently basically meant that Ezreal Janna could never contest for that 5-minute Dragon.
Oh, there's actually the flash into the... oh, not even the Tibbers, of course. He's only level 4, but that's going to be the Pyroblast and easily picks up the kill. First blood here for the bottom lane. And this could be the King story today.
And we talk about it. Annie can set up certain kill lanes with the Boomerang Blade, and Dial's played that perfectly to secure that kill. The stun lined up. King had already thrown out the Boomerang Blade to pick up the kill, and it was just a matter of a couple more auto attacks with the Fleet of Foot passive, and nowhere for that AD carry to go.
Nowhere at all. Zahi's now looking for King. Does manage to pick up that cannon creep. That was beautiful. I just love it when cannon creeps get taken.
I mean, King is really good at CS, and we kind of saw that in his first game where he got, what, 500 CS almost in that game. Was well and truly above the 10 CS per minute mark at that point on Corki. And looking decent so far, 50 CS in about 6.5 minutes. Now going back for a BF sword. That is an unbelievably good power spike.
Oh, it really, really is. Of course, managing to get to 450 CS at 38 minutes in their first game, in a game where it wasn't fed at all. Like, you know, this wasn't a Corki that it was super far ahead. He was just managing to pick up every single bit of farm that he possibly could. Got to that stage where he could almost duel a LeBlanc with the amount of incredible lifesteal he had from Blade of the Ruined King and Bloodthirster. We'll see whether he can do a similar thing on the Sivir pick, which is a little bit more utility-based. Arcane Impulse from Sharp going to clear out that minion wave, and Cheese going to be forced to clear that. But after taking a lot of harassment there in the mid lane, Cheese is doing fantastically here, keeping up in farm.
I mean, the double Dorans help so much for LeBlanc here in this lane because you don't really just want to get poked all day, and you can afford to be a bit more liberal with your health pool. The other thing that's nice as well is that as LeBlanc gets more and more levels, level 5, I guess, to 9 specifically, when you can start distorting Queer Wave, it's much easier for you to trim. And the issue is, when you're getting pushed in by Xerath, what you don't want to have happen is you just fall too far behind and can't get them off your turret. So as long as you can keep the wave in a spot where it's not crashing into your turret constantly, it's much easier for you to manage the lane against the Xerath.
Yeah, and look at this bottom lane pastry time. Uberbro does have a tier, but that's going to give him no combat stats versus King with, as you mentioned, that BF sword, longsword power spike. The damage differential on this bottom side of the map is horrendous.
And I'm so
if
glad
you're an immunity fan.
I'm so glad you brought that up as well, because it's not even the damage that's going to matter here. Sivir is so good with just a BF sword, and in this case a longsword extra as well. Actually, Sharp might be in trouble.
Oh, he's actually going to get caught by that assault and battery here. Zahi gets shielded up here, but might want to escape as Soul Strikes comes in. The teleport from the backside did actually get cancelled, I believe, as Perfections wants to stay in the top side. But Direwolves managed to save their mid laner.
Yeah, JK Smith is ult's on cooldown, so I think he managed to cancel it there using the Gnar in Mega Gnar form. So that was pretty fortuitous to be able to cancel it out. So no one's going to die, but Telly's lost now. The next dragon here, and it is coming up again, the second for Direwolves. They're going to have to fight potentially with a top laner walking down to that pit.
Yeah, JK Smithy doesn't have his teleport available just yet either. Hyper going to clear out these minions. We haven't looked at this top lane all that much. Of course, Perfections with a CS advantage, but no one really getting the better of that lane. Seems to be just a bit of a farm off that Perfections is winning at this stage. But, you know, 15, nothing really to write home about. And Gnar is just going to continue to scale throughout this game.
Yeah, and to pop back down to the bottom lane now before that last bit of action happened, the reason Civ is so good with a single flat AD item is that this exact thing you're seeing right now, being able to just ricochet and boomerang blade down the waves relentlessly, means you basically, with a BF sword at this point, auto-push the wave with a ricochet. You kill all of the caster creeps so quickly, and the minions just continually crash into the turret. So Ezreal, he's in a power dip now with the tier, you're right, but that's not even going to matter. All King wants to do is just continue to push this into the turret, and all Uberbro can do is try and farm under his own.
Yeah, he's doing the best that he can to do so, as well as True Shot Barrage came in. King going to spell shield that one out of the way, and he's going to be absolutely fine. But this is exactly right. Those minions barely had to stop as they came through that lane.
Yeah, just missed the last one, but a Boomerang Blade and a Ricochet clears the minion wave out entirely. That's going to give Divers a back now as well. Sivir on a great clip, whatever I'm sure wants, and I love this pickup as well. A very aggressive Brutalizer.
Yeah, super early Brutalizer picked up here, not wanting to go straight for that Infinity Edge, which puts her in a bit of a dip, but now she's going to have so much extra cooldown reduction as well. That's so many more boomerangs to be thrown in, and I love this because she's got a lot of AD scaling as well, so that flat armor pen's fantastic.
I mean, it's a semi-snowball item, I guess, here for Siva. She scales, she does really well with all the stats, and Ghostblade's not the worst item on her either, especially if you're looking to aggressively push out of the Cheese is actually coming in. Strikes could be in trouble.
Yeah, he could be. Gets caught by the chains here as well. Lockdown. There's the Mimic Chain actually going to land as True Shot Barrage comes through just to find him. Soul Strikes gets poked out here, and this could be Immunity's opportunity to pick up the second dragon here. Of course, Direwolf's picking up the first boomerang to come round from King. As Cheese just going to distort for some extra damage. Uberbro takes a bit from that Arcano Pulse. Some sweet footwork. Dodges the majority, but it's not going to be the steal here as just Jarvan gets destroyed. Sharp's going to be the focus of yet another ultimate, but this is the problem with it, Zahi. You're just going to die. Perfection's now in the backside. Sharp picks up Cheese. The heal's going to be popped here by King. They're looking for him. JK Smithy, Nas Perfection's against the wall. Doesn't quite manage to get the stun here as JK Smithy finds himself as the only one here that's alive. T-Gun sort of waiting back at the side, but can't do all that much. And it was a nice fight from Direwolves.
I mean, it was a really good job by Cheese there to use the Mimic Chains option to force the jungler off the dragon. That was the first thing he did. Soul Strikes tried to steal it, but it was way too low. Got in, missed the smite there. Vi did manage to nab the dragon, and then just got killed instantly. So the fight starts from there, and the issue was basically that Perfection with a great teleport was just able to zone in and get all of the damage in.
Yeah, and he just destroyed Zahi straight away as well before that fight had even started, as we see the replay.
Yeah, so there comes Soul Strikes in with a knock-up, and he tries, but he just goes down. So now Zahi goes in on the shot. That's a good choice to target, but Perfection, great peel there using his ulti, and watch him go back in here as well. King is just kind of getting zoned up, but he walks towards Perfection, who's the best person for him to walk to. Heals and spell shields there, and Ubero now completely caught out. Does eventually get killed by JK Smithy, but now the Ezreal's dead. Megan up pretty tanky, not going to die from this point, but Perfection basically made that as equal as he could.
Yeah, as Cheese going to come around to this mid side. Nice little chain getting Sharp on his way out. But with this blue buff, this low mana pool, not going to be as much of an issue. As Cheese now starting to get the better of this lane. Actually tip the scales there as far as the farm is concerned. But Sharp did manage to pick up a kill in that last exchange. And his ultimate just back off cooldown here as well. Immunity, you have to say, on this bottom side of the map, have some good vision.
I mean, they do. And Immunity are a team that have been around for a long time. They're known for their good vision. Very neutral pink wards here, so you can tell that they're kind of not super confident going in and trying to get those picks, which could be a problem with the LeBlanc. But you can see Soul Strikes here on the top lane. Actually picked up the, I think Skirmisher's Saber is the name of this jungle lane. We don't see it too often, but he's also, yeah, he's got the Skirmisher's Saber and the Warrior Enchant, which is the one that smites them and gives you a debuff. It was the old, like, Warwick jungle item, if you remember the early days of this patch. So he's actually looking to do lots of burst damage when he comes in on his Jarvan.
Yeah, and able to duel really well as well. Of course, you stop your opponent from doing 20% as much damage to you as well with that item. So this is a Soul Strikes that wants to fight if he finds anyone.
It's called Skirmishes for a reason. You absolutely want to fight people when you have it. And Vi, who's normally a very good duelist, might have some problems if Jarvan does get some invade on. So very creative choice there by Soul Strikes. Curious to see if he does that a lot, or if that's a game-specific thing here. But
yeah.
Cheese does get his blue buff. Things are looking fine for Immunity. They are in a gold deficit, but they've equalized the dragons.
Yep, King going to use that spell shield yet again to clear away that Mystic Shot damage potential. And look at these creeps just get decimated. So satisfying to watch a Silver farm, not going to lie.
Yeah, and this is the problem, and it looks good because King doesn't really have to do anything other than this, and this is why Ezreal is kind of an awkward pick in a Sivir. He could use his ulti to clear them out, but especially with Janna as your support, you can't aggressively trim the minion waves to keep them away from your turret, and Sivir at this point of the game just so effortlessly clears the waves that there's nothing you really can do about it. Brutalizer as well, just giving you more penetration, making you better at actually killing people if you do want to get aggressive with your Annie again, and the CDR just makes all of that spell weaving that much easier.
Oh yeah, and Uberbro, he's picked up a Ruby Crystal here, so we might actually see sort of the more mid-lane Ezreal style here by going for that Manamune and picking up that Trinity Force as well.
I mean, he could still go for the Gauntlet, but he does have a Ruby Crystal, so that kind of signals to me that he wants a Triforce, and if that's what he does want to go for, it is a very strong item. He's not going to be able to meet... Oh, never mind. Sharp in trouble.
Yeah, is the Mimic Distortion going to land on a Sharp here? The Chains, point blank, not going to find him as Arcano Pulse going to pop. The ultimate here does actually use that Rite of the Arcane. Cheese does have the movement to get out of the way. This one is JK Smithy's come into the bottom side. He's about to transform. Gets a Nara onto Perfections as soon as he comes in. It's a beautiful spell shot on the wall up though. The Monsoon to come down just to try and save JK Smithy, but I'm not even sure whether it's going to be enough as Perfections really wants to kill him. Didn't use that Frozen Tomb. and they had the opportunity to. Sharp now in a lot of trouble. The Cataclysm over the wall here from Soulstrike. So Zahi in a lot of trouble, flagged and dragged to death, but they do manage to get the trade as Sharp falls down. Perfections comes through with that Glacial Path, and Uber Giants Bro gets boomeranged to death. A beautiful 3-man distortion from Cheese as he comes in, but JK Smithy takes a lot of damage in response, and this tower is still available. Chopper's gonna die. Stop grouping, Direwolves. There is a LeBlanc here. T-Gun is just going to get killed in the crossfire as JK Smithy's in an uncomfortable position. Glacial Path's going to be up relatively soon as the boomerang comes through, but that's just a cheeky Q. And Perfections gets the kill. A little bit anticlimactic.
Well, I mean, what an awkward teleport from JK Smithy, to be honest. He came in trying to gank for the bottom lane and just couldn't get enough work done. Perfection, on the other hand, once again, always there for his team. Beautiful teleport to sort of counter JK Smithy moving in. And that was one hell of a fight dancing around the turret. Chopper got way too greedy to get killed by that LeBlanc as well. He probably should have known that that's a good cheese going back in here onto King.
Yeah, not quite managing to find the distortion on a King there as well, as the spell shield is going to come through. It takes a lot of damage. Cheese just looking for his cooldowns, I could imagine. King has to be a little bit careful. Spell shield does have a relatively long cooldown as Cheese looking for it yet again. The Mimic's not there, but Chopper with the flash into the stun. Cheese goes back to his distortion, but Fleet of Foot doing some work here, and the boomerangs with this brutalizer are tearing Immunity apart.
Yeah, King just nails the last boomerang blade there to get the kill, and Cheese with no mobility at all available to him goes down, and things are getting worse here for Immunity down towards the bottom side of the map. That teleport overextended Immunity when JK Smithy came in, and when you overextend against Lissandra, things go from bad to worse very, very quickly.
And it's only going to get worse as this Lissandra is now 4-0-2, now has a needlessly large rod, almost up to that Zhonya's Hourglass, which is going to give this Perfections Lissandra just so much ability to stay in stasis and just never actually get hit in these fights. And his consistent damage is so good on Lissandra.
I mean, one of the best things to think about when you think of engaged champions is, yes, how easy is it for you to get in? And then when you're in, what happens? Because if you just go in, you initiate from 4 screens away, but die instantly. Not a very effective initiation.
Yeah,
right?
not working.
Hecarim ults from 2 screens away. Your team's not there. Someone just asks, "Hi, what's up? Where's my team?" And then it's all bad from there, right?
Yep.
But Lissandra can go in, ult herself on Zhonya's herself, and gives everyone time, again with the Sivir, to all catch up and chase here. So Zhonya's is a staple on Lissandra for a reason, and Lissandra is just one of the best champions in the game for this exact reason. When she gets on top of someone, there's nothing you can do.
And she's a bit of a CC botter here as well, as Cheese just going to distort over that wall. Spots that pink ward out. There's Immunity now trying to set up for this dragon. JK Smithy doesn't have a lot of rage. And it has been aggro. Dire was just going to say thanks for the leash and maybe even pick this one up as Immunity. They want to start something here. The Dragon, they're on a bit of a timer. There's the Assault Battery onto Perfections here as well. Tibbers comes down, doesn't really find a target. There's a Frozen Tomb. Zahi gets destroyed. A tower goes down in the meantime. T-Gun, oh, that shield was so clutch, but finally falls down. JK Smithy looking for a transform. There's no stun to be available here from Sharp as Direwolves are now looking for the rest of Immunity. Cheese picks up Perfections. Somehow distorts back, but he's going to fall as Sharp picks up that kill. JK Smithy, he's now going to transform, but you have to say that's a little bit too late.
Yeah, way too late during the transformation. Didn't manage that rage around the dragon fight at all, and that would have been a game changer that you saw. The idea was great from Immunity. Jump in on Perfection, cancel all of that CC and engage, and without a Zhonya's, Perfection actually couldn't do anything but ult Xayah and flash out. The unfortunate thing there is without the Nara follow up in the team fight, Immunity had no follow-up to the aggressive ultimate by Zahi, and Perfection again. He got out. Everyone else from Dials walks in. Damage just goes everywhere between all of Sharp and King's damage.
Yep.
And Perfection walters back in for more CC. Finally dies, so we'll not have a perfect score this game, but Perfection is doing work in this game for Direwolves.
Oh, yeah, and now has that Zhonya's Hourglass, so you have to think that that was the last opportunity that Immunity had to try that type of engagement, sort of the hard engage onto Perfections and stop him from doing it, because next time he just presses that Zhonya's button and Zahi comes in and dies for free.
Yeah, I mean, the Vial, the Sona thing has been a strategy for a while. If a team has a very specific hard engage that you want to shut down, it's actually good to use your CC on them to try and kill them, because even if you force them to use it, it's usually in an unfavorable position, and you can move in to win the team fight. But yeah, you're right. With now Lissandra's ulti plus the Zhonya's, that option doesn't exist for Immunity anymore. And Perfection, who is already getting free reign in this team fights, is practically untouchable.
Oh yeah, the Morellonomicon on top of it as well. Probably looking to pick up those Lucidity boots, because As a top lane, Lissandra, you don't have access to that blue buff and is able to pick up that 40% cooldown reduction just with those boots and item combo, plus a few runes and masteries. He's going to be looking fantastic, able to sort of shoot out that Q like an auto attack.
Yeah, Cydia's kind of an interesting thing on Lissandra. She can burn through mana a little quickly, especially with that regen item, so they might actually get Perfection Blue, or maybe even better, going to try and steal the blue buff would be really good for Dials to get done here as well. Sharp in trouble, does stun up though.
Yeah, turns it around here onto Cheese, takes a lot of revenge damage.
And Sharp is on point with this matchup, I have to say, as well.
Oh, yeah.
We're complimenting Perfection a lot for his Lissandra play, but Sharp, who we already know to be a strong Xerath player, is playing into a, not a counter, but a difficult matchup in LeBlanc, and just playing circles around Cheese in a lot of these instances. Again, you make sure she respects your range, and whenever she jumps in, if she's not on top of you with a sigil, it's really easy for you to stun and win the trade every single time.
Yeah, and he's just been holding onto that stun, just throwing it out exactly when he needs to and getting the return damage. And it's all about focusing on the right trades here as well for Sharp, and then finishing people off with that Rite of the Arcane. Is Sharp going to get aggressed on here yet again? Frozen Tomb doing so much damage, though, as Perfections just locks himself up. JK Smithy, he is Mega Gnar, but not necessarily in the right position. Gets a nice double Gnar, but King's just going to tear through him on this Sivir, who has so many items. His outer turret in the mid lane now going to fall down, and Direwolves have just almost taken control of this game now.
I mean, this game is looking massive so far. The gold lead is ridiculous for Direwolves, and Sharper looking to go, and he does get snared.
Oh my gosh, Cheese manages to pick up the kill and escape there as well, as his Mimic is the one getting focused. Uber Bro, though, has had no impact. Now has his Trinity Force completed as well as that tier, but you can't see that Trinity Force power spike coming in. It's 22 minutes into the game. It's just a little bit too late.
I mean, he tried to leave the Iceborne Gauntlet out to get an earlier power spike, and you're right. Oh, Perfection actually died to True Shot Barrage there, I think.
Okay, there we are.
So
that's what it's for. So Uber Bro, yeah, it's coming back in the game. Don't worry.
A nice snipe there, but again, Perfection, we said his name. He did just die, but still doing work for this team. That was the not often used ult myself for AoE option of Lissandra that we don't see that often.
Yep. Is that the technical term?
Yeah, I mean, everyone thinks about Lissandra as a really strong single target CC, and it is, but people often forget that it also creates an area that does massive slow and AoE damage around her. Perfection put himself in the perfect position to block off the choke point between the turret and the lane, and just did so much damage to the rest of the immunity that tried to move through.
Yeah, and Zahi, that was Zahi trying to engage onto Sharp, who was standing right next to Perfection, so he couldn't have made a better decision there, because, you know, Assault and Battery, it's unstoppable, so you can't actually free Zahi out of that. He is going to still get the ultimate off. It was the best option, and Perfection's able to judge the situation so fantastically, almost in an instant.
I mean, it just won them the team fight instantly to the fact where JK Smithy, who did have Mega Gnar available then, just wasn't able to impact the fight at all. He, I think, gnarred at least one of the carries into a wall, and by that time, Direwolves were already taking the turret and killing the rest of immunity.
Yeah, but Uberbro has managed to pick up that Manamune. It is still going to start stacking here as Zahi manages to pick up a Scuttle Crab here as well. 50 seconds is the timer on that Dragon. Direwolves looking to pick up their third of this game. And, you know, that's actually a pretty decent spike here for Uberbro, who just went from a tier to having a full Manamune.
I mean, he'll be happy with the build, or happier with the build, I should say, but he's still well and truly behind in terms of gold here.
Oh my goodness, I didn't look over the other side.
Yeah, I just tapped over to the gold briefly. I think he's 4,000 gold or so behind, 3,000 to 4,000 gold behind, which is ridiculous, and that's still reflected in the items between, i.e. the Shiv and the Yomus. The differential in damage that these two carries are doing is almost night and day. Uberbro, even with the Trinity Force for a bit of an earlier spike, just isn't outputting the same damage that King is, let alone Perfection or Sharp.
Yeah, well, actually, the engage onto Perfections here, who doesn't manage to get over with his Glacial Path. He's going to ult himself. There's True Shot Barrage. Cheese picks up the kill. A nice pick here for Team Immunity. I was going to say King actually went back and finished both the Ghost Blade and the Static Shiv at the same time after that team fight. He is gigantic. Now might actually find himself in an awkward position here as he's trying to clear out some vision. But Soul Strikes is here as well. The Dragon going to get started here for Immunity. They want to pick one up for themselves, but Soul Strike, he wants to have a say in this as Arcano Pulses are going across the team. He does pick it up. Zahi does secure that one for Team Immunity, and now he's right in amongst this fight. They don't have Perfections. He's still dead. Does have that teleport. Right of the Arcane comes down. Immunity taking a lot of damage. Zahi with the Vault Breaker in order to escape here, and JK Smithy taking so much damage. Oh my gosh, you'd think he was not even a tank here, but just how destroyed he's getting in these fights.
I mean, Immunity will take it. Everyone is still alive, and they got the dragon, so mission successful there for Immunity. Direwolves tried to go for another steal. They didn't opt for the poke option there with Sharp. You can see what happens when Direwolves don't have Perfection's Lysandra to help them initiate, and when they can't be together, it's a lot harder for them to get in on top of Immunity and really win a team fight. And Immunity, again, another 50-50 smite. Zahi nails it yet again for the next dragon for Immunity, and Immunity, despite the big goal difference, are going to catch up in objectives at least.
Yeah, so their neutral objectives are exactly the same now. So both of these teams next going for that extra movement speed that they are going to be able to pick up for themselves. T-Gun just going to shield up Uberbro here so he doesn't get killed by that red buff. And he is scaling through. Now has that Mura Mana transform, so that is a nice spike in damage here for Uberbro coupled with that Trinity Force. Chuffer going to ward over here. And it's not going to get destroyed by T-Gun and Uberbro as they try and transition into this top outer turret. The bottom outer still available here. Zahi's pushed that wave in as well. But Direwolves, they're waiting in the wings. Glacial Path going to come through here by Perfections. They may find Smithy, who's forced to flash out here. The wallop to land onto Chuffer. He takes so much damage from Uberbro, but JK Smithy as well is getting decimated. That is the wrong time to be a mini-nah as he transforms back just to die, and Sharp picking up a nice kill.
And you can tell just how tanky JK Smithy isn't so far in this game.
Yeah.
He just has all components as far as tank items go. Hasn't completed a single major item with the exception of the Merc Treads. And Direwolves went in willingly on a Mega Gnar. And that turned out to be the right play. I shouldn't be saying those things.
Yeah, that sentence shouldn't actually work. Right, the Arcane's going to find Little Cutie Cheese. Actually, it's not going to find him at all. Going to whiff all three of them, and he's going to survive. The Mimic going to fall down. Glacial Path not going to be opted into here by Perfections, and they decide to leave this inner turret as King want to put pressure elsewhere. King now actually has a Vamp Scepter as well, looking to go for a Bloodthirster for his 4th item. This could be a, 5 damage item Sivir, which is just terrifying.
I mean, King has picked the right comp to run this Sivir as well. He might want to Banshees for Cheese, but Cheese right now is doing respectable, but not insane damage. The Void stuff's really when Sivir has to start worrying, but everyone else on Direwolves is such a big threat anyway that I don't think they really care. All King realistically has to do in a fight is hope that Perfection and Jarvan correctly initiate a fight, and then just come in for cleanup.
Oh, we've actually got the Talisman of Ascension getting popped here as the Pyroblast come down, and Shuffer easy going to be able to set up that kill for King. JK Smithy now getting static shivved for a ton of his health, and King is just tearing through these targets.
Yeah, and I think I can tell why Chuffer might have graciously stepped down to the support role. He's going in again, Uberbro.
On the hunt's being popped. King flashing after him as well. Wants to find the exhaust on top of him. JK Smithy's found him here as well as King just happy to go 1v3 here as Chuffer's got the stun. He's going to come back around. The wallop's going to get caught there, but the shutdown to come through for Cheese as he comes in the nick of time. There's the Frozen Tomb. JK Smithy takes a couple of bolts and Sharp hits T-Gun there as well as he tries to monsoon through it, but damn, King is so angry, and Cheese is dead as Sharp picks up yet another kill.
And Perfection again, always in the right place at the right time for this team. So much control with this Lysandra, and King went in 1v3 so ham there. Perfection's going again.
Yeah, there's the Glacial Path to come down. Zahi just loves ulting him, but it sets it up for Sharp to get an easy Arcano Pulse, and again, Direwolves, they're going to be able to follow this up with an objective, and it's going to be 10,000 gold, the advantage here for the Direwolves.
Chuffer in a bit of trouble, but will get away, and this comp's just so strong for Direwolves. King they're so far ahead that King went in 1v3, almost got a kill. The exhaust, I think, and all the summoners saved, just saved Uberbro from getting killed. And Perfection was still in there to clean up the rest of the kills, and they rotated for another turret. The gold lead is insane. I mean, Direwolves are going to be a bit upset that they don't have maybe as many dragons as they'd like, given that they stole the first one at 5 minutes as well. But given where they are at now, Immunity will be happy to have the 2 dragons, but they're still so far behind.
Oh yeah, you could imagine that Direwolves, now that it's about that 30-minute mark, Baron has been nerfed in damage just a little bit here as well. It's going to be very, very open to being destroyed. We'll see whether that's where their focus is going to be, as T-Gun's going to ward that one up here just now. The members of Direwolves actually all together here in this mid lane. Everyone's spread on the side of Immunity. Teleport available from JK Smithy. He can react to something if it's to come through. A minute left. Nice Howling Gale from T-Gun to stop Soul Strikes from finding him. But the next dragon looking for that movement speed. Azahi is dead. Almost managed to get onto that burst damage, but didn't quite get there in time.
I mean, I think Perfection just caught him and hit the W button. They didn't even need to use his ulti to pick up that kill, and you can't be rotating through your own jungle when you don't have control of it. And Direwolves now are running the pick strat just with the Lissandra basically on their side. They have decent pick. Again, we've seen Sharp pick people off with his E multiple times, and he can get in there as well. When you have control of a jungle with this many aggressive wards forward, and you can see the pinks are coming out a little bit for Direwolves as well. They're keeping up reasonably good aggressive vision. When you have a Civicom, all you have to do is press go when you see someone in that position, and that's exactly what happens.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And look at these Howling Gales just always getting spell shielded here, as well as there's the engage to come through from Direwolves. They popped the on the hunt. No one dead just yet, but Cheese is going to fall down before taking anyone out. JK Smithy, a beautiful three-man now onto so many members, but he's going to die for it as Zahi just gets torn apart. And my gosh, Perfection's been fantastic with these ultimates. Just the tip of the Arcano Pulse, and Sharp picks up T-Gun. This inhibitor turret going to fall down as well, and King with so much damage. Another BF sword now is in his back pocket, and Direwolves just looking so good.
Yeah, and a 4-for-0 there for Direwolves. Nobody died, not even the blinking low health Jarvan or Lissandra. And Immunity, JK Smithy with a fantastic ultimate. But it's not enough at this point in the game. They're just too far behind. The Dragon's up as well. The blue buff's going to get stolen. Direwolves have complete control of this game.
Yeah, they're just going to go through, pick up what they want from the rest of the map that isn't Immunity's base. Soul Strike's actually almost dying here. Very dangerous as the True Shot Barrage is going to find him, but not going to get the kill. They pick up the third dragon for a bit of extra movement speed. The Baron's actually been started here by JK Smithy, going for a bit of a desperation play. Our team Immunity, it's a decent timing here as well because everyone on Direwolves are back, but do they have the damage in order to take this one down? Sharp's here. He's discovered them. He moved around by himself. Right of the Arcane to come through. Cheese taking so much damage. He's legendary now as he kills Uberbro in that pit. Cheese takes just way too much damage here as King is looking for the kill. That crit did about 4 billion damage as T-Gun is going to be his next target. The Bloodthirster hasn't even been finished here. He gets a double kill as T-Gun dies. Zahi's going to fall down as well. That Boomerang Blade doing some work on the Baron, and Dyer will say thanks for the leash.
Yeah, they just got gifted a Baron there by Immunity, basically. JK Smithy teleported to a ward at Baron to try and take it in desperation, but Sharp, so smart, sensed that, you know what, the one thing they could be doing is a Baron now, walked over to the pit and basically 1v4 them with a bit of help from Baron.
Yeah, that's sort of the 2v4, isn't it, with this big purple guy on your team. It was fantastic work from Sharp, and backing off and just taking those kills with the Rite of the Arcane, just easy as you like. They're probably going to be able to end the game here as everyone from Immunity up at about the same time. But are they going to be strong enough to face this huge lineup of Direwolves? Is on the hunt, actually gets popped here. King going super aggressive. The Monsoon to come through from T-Gun, trying to go for the kill. Cheese is already dead. Uberbro just gets soloed out by King. T-Gun gets caught by that one. The double kill to come through now from King, and he's just tanking the fountain. No cares at all. The shutdown comes in, but the Nexus falls down. Direwolves with a dominating victory.
And King again coming up absolutely ridiculous for his team. Still something like 300 CS in 30-ish minutes. GPM's off the charts right now for the OPL for this player. So good, and Direwolves looking so strong. That was a comp that they were basically, I think, would pick blind if you let them do so.
Oh, yeah.
And they just looked so good on those champions. That was ridiculous.
Yeah, and Lyssandra's a strong champion, yeah, but Perfection's... Oh, this is going to be a bad
Don't do it.
But he
Don't
used
do
it
it
to perfection, didn't he? He did. Come on.
I told you not to.
It's not a pun when it's true, right?
Well, that's fair. Perfection played a fantastic game, but I think King maybe did even more lifting than he did in the last game.
Yep.
Direwolves look really strong when they play together, and everything went well there. They picked the comp they liked, they engaged where they pleased. The skill shots were hitting so well for Sharp as well. Like, that was a clinic there, and Immunity just could never get it going.
Yeah, it wasn't really much that they could do, but this game's over, and we do have one more. Actually, Rich Gang going to be taking on Team Immunity after this one, so don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be back after this short break.